All right, so now we're recording. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We listened to 10 songs. I have notes with feedback. I'm gonna go over those songs. And before we jump into that, I wanna give you a little bit of an update of some fun stuff that's going on. And also, I want to talk to you a little bit about two things that are gonna make your business move a little bit faster and smoother. So, okay, so let's just dive in. I have an hour, and so I'm going to try to be really conscientious of the time because it's a whole long story. I won't even tell you why, but I have to get off in an hour. Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay, so a couple things. First of all, did you guys hear the news that one of our students got a Coors Light spot? Yes? Did you hear that? No? Yeah, it's been really cool. So, we teach, I started almost 2 years ago with the first class, which is called Six Figure Songwriting. And then, and that's a lot of it's all the curriculum that's in here. That's from my side. Ari brings all his stuff and my side has to just do with licensing. And so I did a Six Figure Songwriting class, which was just all the exact same stuff that you guys have seen. And then it was just me, sort of coming into the group. So one of our students from that class, it's amazing. He lives in Australia and he had never had a license, and it's really cool. We actually were part of this process. We pitched him to the agency, and we're still working with that agency right now. And there's another 3 of our students who are up for other spots. But he wound up getting a spot. It was $75,000, maybe a few $1,000s more than that. Pretty cool, right? Yay. And his song is called Let's Go, which is not that hard to extrapolate that's part of what we talk about, right? Is that one of the themes that comes up? And we've actually licensed other songs. We had a song for Payless, which was called Let's Go. Some of you might have seen that spot. So that's an amazing thing. I think it gives everybody just another wow, okay, so this does happen. And this does happen for people who have nothing else of a track record. And it is true that we have to be thinking about these themes and understanding it. So what I wanted to tell you is 2 things. First of all, why did that work? Well, I know why it worked because I know what the song sounded like. I understand that the song had the lyrics and the hook that really do come up all the time, and this idea of let's go, and this idea of ready for anything and taking on the world, and that excitement, that is something that's super common. And also the production was really cool and everything was dialed in. So we need to remember that for something to be a business, and I just interviewed Seth Godin. Do you guys know who Seth Godin is? Yes? No? Okay. So I just interviewed him last week for my podcast, and that episode will be up next week. And he said that it's really simple. At the end of the day, a business is different from a hobby. And what makes it different? Well, sometimes you have a hobby and it is a business. So that's cool. But what makes something go from being a hobby, something that you just love doing, you love making cookies, you love writing songs, you love making pottery, when does that shift to become a business? It shifts to become a business when we have radical empathy. We have to have radical empathy. And what that means is we start making things for somebody else. And that's why it's a business, because it goes from something that I love doing, I get to express myself, I love being in the kitchen, I love playing guitar, I love whatever. That's all great. And that's something that we can just do forever. But if we want to make a business from it, we have to have this thing called radical empathy, where we decide that we're going to start totally 100% informing what we're creating with what this other person needs, because it's a business and they're going to pay us for it. Does that make sense? And so in my own life, I've had so many conversations where people get really stuck around this, and they say things like, well, that's not authentic. And I say, but it is. That's what business is. At the end of the day, the reason why the iPhone sells is because people step back for hours and hours and hours until they were completely exhausted and asked the question, what does this person want? What does this person need? What do they like? Who are they? Who is our customer? What do they wear? What do they eat? Where do they go? What problems can we solve? And that's why they created a business. Now, that's not authentic. That's just called radical empathy. It's a difference of how we show up in the world. And there are other people who are so stuck in this place of, I just want to do this to express myself. And there is nothing wrong with that. That is an incredible thing. That is a thing that's so, it makes so much sense. It's cathartic. It's helpful to the world for you to be expressed and for you to just get to do your thing. And everybody should be doing those things. I agree with that. But if you're asking somebody else to help you pay your mortgage and to pay you actual currency for what you're creating, you got to think about them. And if they're not part of the equation, we're not selling anything. Does that make sense? So this is at the heart of it, what it is that I've been saying for so long, but I love how Seth put it, because he just said it so simply, no apologies, just boom. And he is a master marketer, and he's so smart, and he's done 3 TED Talks, and he's written books, and he's so famous that when you just type Seth into Google, he comes up. It's like Cher, Madonna. Like, he just has a lot to say about this. And so I want you to get it. I want you to understand this, that like there are decisions to be made. You can just keep writing music, and that is 100% fine. And it might happen that something you happen to write is the thing that someone else also likes, and that's amazing magic when that happens on its own, and it does happen sometimes on its own. But if you want to consistently write songs and you want to consistently get paid, then you need to think about who's buying the songs from you and what they need and what they want. And we've got to make a decision to make that something we are obsessed with. We have to have that radical empathy and think about these people, and then understand who are the people that we're selling to. And each one of us is going to come into this conversation a little bit differently. For me, I just licensed a song of my own to Walmart again, which is fascinating because it was a different agency than it was the first time I did a Walmart ad, and they still came back, and after looking through everything, they chose my song, and then they thought, oh, that's so crazy, it's been used in another Walmart spot. And I said, right, well, I must have done something that really like taps into the message and the vibe that the audience for you guys is in alignment with, and you've decided that, so it worked, right? And so when lightning strikes, and it strikes again and again and again and again, then we know that it's not luck. Like, it's so fun, it's so easy for people to look over at someone else and go, that person was lucky, that person has a dad in the business. I don't. My dad lives in Florida, and I hardly speak to him. But like, it's so easy to look at people and say, she had a trust fund, which I didn't, or she had this, or she had that. And that's fine. And for some people, it makes them feel better, and it gets them off their own back, and they don't have to do anything because they just didn't get lucky, and that's a whole other story. But what we do know is that when things happen over and over and over and over and over again, that you can set a clock to it, then we know that there is a strategy in place, and it's not just luck. And so I'm trying so hard to figure out how to extrapolate anything that's been working for my story to help you to put that into your own story. And so what I know is, for me, Walmart and McDonald's and Cheerios and Pepsi, these are songs that I'm going to write because those are target groups for me. And there are other artists who you're going to come into this a little bit differently. You're going to do some inner work, which we always want to skip that part, but that's like not something we can actually skip. We're going to get quiet and do some work, and we're going to figure out where we can actually show up and create things that other people need. And we're going to do that by getting feedback from people in our class, and from people like me and Sonnet and Victoria and Ari and anybody else who we respect or admire, who we think might know something, even when we're reaching out to licensing agents, even when we're reaching out to music supervisors. I want to get to that in a second. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about how you can have radical empathy and where you really can serve, right? And so there's some people who are going to say, my music, even if I wanted to adjust it in a way where it really is what this other person wants, it would be better suited for trailers, it'd be better suited for film, it'd be better, and that's all really perfect. That's fair game. That's where you get to decide how to align the two things, right? Because the ikigai, if you guys know what your ikigai is this really cool Japanese word, and it means it's the intersection between what you do well, what you love doing, and what serves the world. It's those 3 points. And so there are sometimes things that you say, I love doing it, it serves the world, I'm not really that good at it. Or I'm really good at it, it serves the world, I hate doing it. That wouldn't be right. So we've got to find that spot where all those things come together. And so for me, writing songs that were uplifting and just sounded like kids having fun in a candy shop really felt like stuff I could do well, that I like doing, and that I could really serve with that. Does that make sense? So I want you to think about it. I want you to start asking people. One good assignment for you guys would be to ask 10 people, 5 maybe from the class, 5 in your own life, listen to my music. Where do you think it best fits? Is it fit best in a film? Does it fit best in a commercial? Does it fit best in a trailer? What do you think? Because you want to be able to walk around and see if that's congruent. And so for me, I kept being told McDonald's, Target. That was what people would say to me. people were saying to friends of mine, co-writers of mine, like Kyler England, who I write with all the time, they were saying things to her like TV shows, soap operas, movies. And then I have other friends who they were saying things like trailers, you know, film scoring. And I was like, okay, that's fascinating. Now we need to double down and triple down where that all fits together. But let's be super clear. We have to make decisions, and smart business people have radical empathy. They just do, because if they don't, if they just want to do their own thing, that is not the way to start a business, and it's not the way to grow a business. So we need to have radical empathy and think about, how do I solve problems? So with Anthony's song, Let's Go, the reason why it wound up working for Coors Light, and it would have worked for other ads as well, is because it's called Let's Go, first of all. And that is something that even the music supervisors, maybe they don't necessarily themselves listen to songs in their car called Let's Go, but they have a problem to solve, and their problems usually get solved by 10 or so anthemic themes that come up all the time. So if you write a song about togetherness, or if you write a song about empowerment, if you write a song like Bold, like the Highfields wrote, we've now just licensed that song again. That's the 5th license we did for that song in the last 3 months. Is it because these music supervisors have no other, you know, talent around them? No, there's tons of talented musicians, but do they have other songs called Bold? No, they don't. So it solves their problem. A music supervisor's problem is, I need to find a song that's cool and that sounds authentic, and it has to say these words, because if it's going to be put in this scene, the writer and the director and the producer have come together and realized that there's something going on in the scene that they want to show and not tell, and they want the music to tell it. And so if they want the music to tell it and they're not going to have the dialogue do it, they need the music to say that. It's exactly like that. It's like when people say, I have friends who are directors and casting directors, because I live in LA and they're everywhere, and they'll say, I give an actor something to read, and they change the lines, and I'm like, nope, just give me those lines right back. Oh, I'm going to change them. It's like, I love you. I appreciate that you want to bring yourself to it, but understand that you are going to bring yourself to it, but you need to give me right back what I need, because I need exactly that to be said, right? And so we need to understand that there is a way to serve our customers. So I want you to get clear. If you're going to have a business and you're going to say to yourself, this year, I've had it. I'm making a decision. I'm going to make 6 figures licensing music. Then it's actually really simple. You're going to say, I'm going to write a song and someone else is going to pay for it. And that other person needs it. They need that song. They don't like it. That's separate, right? There are music supervisors who would tell you the songs that they like, that they have in their car, are not necessarily the same songs they put in these spots, right? They're 2 different species. Sometimes they're the same. Sometimes they go, that's awesome. This band that I like also said the words I needed and did it in a way that I needed it for my director. But it's really separate. When they go to work every day, they put on their music supervisor hat, and they're, again, trying to solve problems, which is working for their boss, who's a producer, who's a director, who's saying, we need these words to be said. Please help us find a song that's cool, that's interesting, that's got spirit, and says these words, okay? So we want to really understand, who's your customer? I want you to know the answer to that. I want you to get obsessed with it. Who's your customer? Is it ad agencies? Is it trailer companies? Is it film music supervisors? Is it TV music supervisors? Who are they? And then really, who are they? What are their names? Who are the 10 people that you go, it's these 10 people? Because for me, I can tell you it's Dan Kuipers at BBDO, who's in Chicago. I can tell you that it's Gabe McDonough, who used to be at Leo Burnett, and now he's at MAS. I can tell you that there's a list of music supervisors who work for the brands, whose ad agencies work for the brands that I know my music is great for. And I'm constantly researching my client, understanding my client, and writing those songs. And then once I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars from doing 8 spots a year, I get to go to the studio and write my records that have nothing to do with my customers. They just get to be for me. I get to write songs about being scared and self-sabotaging and brokenhearted, and songs about how hard it is to be married, and songs about how hard it is to get over my own stuff. And I get to write those songs, and some of those songs wind up getting placed in TV shows, and it's a fun surprise. But they just get to be my release, and I get to be an artist. And that's the plan here. We want to be able to not have a day job, then we need to be able to get it. And if we're not going to do it, if we're going to resist it the whole time, then let's know that and stop and do a day job that pays you lots of money, and then just do your music to feel great, because music is very healing and it will make you feel great. And you might not like doing it as a business because you might be unwilling to have a customer, but you do have a customer, and we do need to serve them if we want to make it a business. And if we don't, then what we can do is just use this class as a way to keep ourselves accountable to just being more creative and getting in the studio and writing songs. And you can use this class to deal with all the amazing different things that Ari talks about, and just streaming your songs and getting your songs out in the world and playing shows. And that's why this class has a lot to offer. But as far as I'm concerned, we have a customer and we've got to solve their problems. We've got to make them happy, or else they're not paying us, because that is all the discussion is about. So that's one thing. The second thing I want to tell you about is outreach, right? So we need to do massive amounts of action. We can't just, the whole idea, like if you build it, they will come, it's not true. They're not coming. So if we build it and we write these amazing songs and they're all sitting on our hard drive right in this computer, and I built it, nobody's walking through the door to say like, let me hear your hard drive. Give me a, like here's my little, flash drive, load them up. That's not how it happens. They don't knock on the door. They don't come on in, and they don't say like, hey, can I have a LaCroix? I'm going to sit on the couch and listen to your music. No. So we've got to find these people. So what we're going to do is a few different things. Okay. We're going to start to ask ourselves the question, who are they, right? I already know who they are. I've already been doing the work. I know my customer. I know what my customer needs. I know what they want. Now, I don't want to interrupt them. Most people are interrupting people all day long. So they're just sending somebody an email. It's an interruption. They're calling someone on the phone. It's an interruption. They're walking up to someone at the end of a panel, standing outside. They're just interrupting. That's not actually helpful when it comes to sales. So sales is, hey, I'm reaching out to you because I already thought about you and I'm solving your problem because I have this and you need it. Okay, that's first and foremost. So for me, it really actually is awesome. Like I like doing outreach because I don't think I'm interrupting, because if I'm going to email somebody who is a music supervisor, I already did the work to know that I have something that is going to solve their problem. Because if I don't, it's actually much more annoying. Like I don't like doing it because I feel like a big burden. And I get it because sales is annoying, but it's not if it's not sales. And if it's not sales, then what is it? It's helping other people, right? So we want to solve people's problems. And I actually really have gotten so much feedback from music supervisors like, you're such a breath of fresh air. You always you send me what I need. You don't send me stuff just because you want me to hear this new record. You're just cognizant of my time. And my boss wants me to stay, my boss needs me to stay on point, and you help me make my boss think I'm amazing because you keep sending me that song, and that is the song I needed. So thank God I get to keep my job because you sent me that song I needed. Do you get what I'm saying, right? So there are very, 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 very few human beings in the world that do this, but even especially in an artist community, what most emails are like, what most phone calls are like is, hey, I'm just going to stop you dead in your tracks. I know you're in the middle of a million things and you have a family and a dog and all those things, but just hang on a second. I have a song. I have no idea if it's what you need, but I know I like it and I like it. So I want you to stop just whatever you're doing. I know it's what, you can't be generous for a second. I want you to stop. I want you to listen to my songs because they're good, because I like them. I have no idea what you do. But I would love you to listen to my songs and give me some feedback, because why can't you be generous? You have a cool job and I don't. You can't just stop and be generous. That's weird. Okay, well, see, I didn't get the feedback I wanted. I'm not going to do outreach anymore. It's like, okay, well, that is what we get every single day, 100 times a day. We get emails from artists saying, like, I don't know who you, they let us know in the email they don't know who we are. It feels like it's a copy and paste, right? It's this long-winded email with like everything that they've done, and they were at South by Southwest, and they have this EP, and I have no idea who they are as a human. I have no sense of if they know who I am as a human. And then it's so long that, first of all, I'm not even going to read it because I have too much to do. I wouldn't be able to be here doing this class if I responded to the hundreds of emails we get every week. I would get nothing done, and I definitely wouldn't serve my customer. I really actually wouldn't serve my audience in any way, because ultimately those artists, they need me to be busy helping them, because they're never going to get there if I just kept responding to every single one of those emails. We would miss the boat. So I started speaking, and I started doing free content and create courses. So I could say, here's how you actually do outreach. That's never going to work. What is going to work is when people send me emails, they let me know, first of all, as a person, that they have something where they let me know that they have some clue who I am. I heard you on this podcast. I saw you, blah, blah, blah. I listened to your song. Anything lets me know they know who I am. And it's short and sweet. I don't want to hear anybody's resumes. It's not important. All I need to know is, are you here to solve my problem? And so some people say, I thought about exactly what it is that I think that you need. And why is this mic sounding weird? I thought about what you need. And I'm letting you know that, someone needs to mute. Mute yourself. And people let me know sometimes, like, I wrote a song that I think is really great for Cheerios or whatever else, and I saw that your agency works with that. Would you like to listen to it? And I'm like, yes, because every single day I'm under pressure. I'll tell you why. About 6 to 10 times a day, we get an ask from a music supervisor at a music supervisor from an ad agency or TV show. And they go, hey, Kathy, do you have something for this? It's a DreamWorks show. And then I have pressure, because in order for me to keep that relationship, I have to send them something good. Because if I don't, and then I don't, and I don't, and I don't, after a while they stop reaching out to me because they go, she doesn't have it. Okay, cool. So we need to make sure that we do have it. And we don't get these like lists. There's no like BCC, every person gets it. No. What it is people curate a little group of people that they think they can trust, not just business-wise, but also they can trust creatively that we get them or we have what they need, right? So it all goes back to fulfilling the need. So there's no like mass list of like, this agency is looking for this song. That doesn't exist. Believe me, we would love to have it. We don't have it. We have handfuls of people who reach out to us and say, we need this for DreamWorks. It's a song that sounds like this. And I go, oh, I can read in the brief why they reached out, because they think we have those songs, and we do. But we always need them. We always need them. So we have, in our catalog, we might have, let's say, 40 artists. We try to keep it really small. And we don't have as many songs as we actually would love to have, because most of the stuff that we get sounds exactly the same, in the sense that it really wasn't created for us. It wasn't created with us in mind, which meant they would have to understand what we're up to and what problems we need to solve, and therefore helping us solve our problem. Once in a while, we get an EP and it's got 2 songs on it, and we're like, oh, this song is called, Fierce, and this song is called Take on the World. And I'm like, let me just click on that for a second. And then oftentimes somebody wrote a song called Take on the World, but they had no business writing that song, because they'd be much better off writing a song that was more like grim or ethereal or sexy or something else. But they were halfway there. They heard that was something that I might need, and then they wrote it, but it's not quite in alignment with who they are. So it's not great. Or the vocal is good, but the lyrics are too on the nose. And then it takes like literally flexing that muscle until we move through that murky water and we start making stuff that's better and better. So when it comes to outreach, we need to have radical empathy, and then we need to really understand who those people are and keep finding those people. And we can do this a few different ways. We can either reach out to licensing agents and get their feedback. And if they say no, we can say, why is it a no? I want to do better. I want to grow. People like hearing that from other people, and people like to give their opinions, and it is really generous though. So if they do write you back and tell you, I would be like floored that they took the time to give you that feedback, and I would send them cookies, and I would say, that meant so much to me because I need exactly that information, and I need it from you. I can't get that from my best friend as much as she loves me, but you can tell me that. So thank you. And then I would make them know that you see them and you appreciate that. And then if you actually do that homework, I would send it back. And now they're like, oh, this is that person who was so grateful. So let me just listen. And maybe you start a relationship with a couple licensing agents that way. That's number one. Number two is you could be reaching out to music supervisors. There's so many different ways to do that. We've talked about it from the advertising way. That way, there's like an endless amount of people who are producers on the broadcasting side who we can be reaching out to and continuing to add those to our list. And then the other ways is we just decided to throw you guys another bone, which is we wanted to get we wanted to get people in our class getting more results. And so in every single arena in life, there's always a bell curve. There's always some people who really show up and like commit, and then there's always like that middle who like kind of show up, and then there's always this chunk of people who kind of don't. That's just kind of like human nature. That's like sociology. That's kind of the way it goes. So we were noticing that we would have these like people who really are high achievers, and they show up and they would start to get some momentum and some results, and they would start to understand themselves better, get some self-awareness, take some steps, and things would start to happen. And then we noticed that there was like a bunch of people sort of in the middle, and there was a lot of people over here. So we thought, well, we need to get people to do the work, right? Because
ultimately, if this is going to be a great class, you've got to get results. But the only way you're going to get results is if you do the work. So we decided to throw you guys bonuses. So if you listen to these calls, like you guys are here right now, so bravo, and then you actually do the homework, right? And then you listen to Ari's call, we decided that we're going to start throwing bonuses your way. One of them is going to be this. We're going to start posting, as we've done in the past, more regularly, a couple searches every month of things that we are looking for. And we're going to give the people who show up and do the work are going to get to unlock sort of that bonus, and they're going to get to participate in that bonus and submit their music for that thing. So that's another thing. In our access course, that literally, the access course is a specific course all about music licensing, where every single month, 2 or 3 music supervisors come on from ad agencies, TV shows, film, music supervisors, and then literally every single month artists are pitching to spots. It's a class that's literally designed to give people access to the decision makers, to the licensing agents, to the music supervisors, and to the actual searches. And that is all that we're doing. It's like a double down. It's like a next level, because it's just licensing, and it's licensing to the point where people in that class can basically use that class as a licensing agent, because that class literally gives you the opportunities to submit your music all the time, as well as it does to meet who these music supervisors are. And it's been very, very, very cool. And everybody needs something different, which is why there's different flavors of soup. You know, it's why there's different courses. It's why there's different sizes of clothes. And so this class has a lot of stuff in it. You know, it's kind of a smorgasbord of Ari has this tremendous amount of insight and data, and he's a person who's a fact finder, and he's researched lots of things, and he knows stuff about things I don't even know about or even know how to talk about. And then I bring this whole other side to it. So if you're more interested in that and that's something you want to talk about, you can look at that for down the road. But immediately, we are going to be releasing a couple of these searches every month for people who show up and do this work. And that's very exciting, especially because we are continuously now, it's like every other week somebody pops up and shares the good news that they got a license, which is very, very cool. Especially these are people who felt for a long time like they were just kind of like walking blindly, like having to feel their way through and hands on walls to try to even know where they're at. And now it's nice to see that. So I'm glad I can report that one of these students, he got this Coors Light spot, and we have five other spots we're working on for Coors Light, and 3 of them are now up for, they're the people who are up for those are students of the class. So we will be announcing that as it comes out. And that's just one thing. And there's other really cool stuff going on. Okay. Now that was a lot, so take that in, go back, watch that. But I want you guys to do this assignment. I want you to be able to tell us, who is your customer? Who do you write for? And I want you to tell me. I want you to get quiet, and there's no wrong answer. But I want you to create an email, and I want you to send it to, you can send it to me, you can send it to Victoria, you can send it to Sonnet. We all see everything from this class, so just as long as you get it there, you can send it and CC everybody. But send it in and do these 3 things. I want you to tell us yes or no. Are you in or are you out? Are you deciding to have radical empathy and make it a business? And what that's going to mean is, are you deciding to have a customer? Or do you want to just write music? And there is no wrong answer. There is no wrong answer. There are some people who would be miserable turning their hobby, which is music, into a job. They would start hating it. I personally love it, and I see the genius of it, and it allows me the free time to write the songs I want. But there are other people who would say, this is soul crushing. I just want to make my cupcakes the way I want to make them. I want to paint the way I want to paint. I want to use acrylic. I don't want to make any sense. I just want to be in the studio painting. That's fine. Okay, but I want you to decide. And let us know what you decided. I actually would find it fascinating to hear the answer. It might be a yes or no answer, like yes or no. And then if it's a no, tell us why you decided no. If you want to tell us yes and you have a why, tell us why. The next thing I want you to write is, who's your customer? Who have you decided your customer is? The homework is to go out to 5 people in the class and ask them for feedback. Where do you think I fit? What do you think I write best for? Who do you think is my customer? And then, of course, you might have to double down and really work on that and make it actually what your customer needs and really sweeten it up. But find out. You can ask people in the class. You can ask people in your life. And then the third thing is, I want you to come up with a list and say, here's just 5 of the people who are my customers. Who are they? Are you going to write down 5 licensing agencies that do the kind of thing you do? Are you going to write down 5 music supervisors? This should be something that you get in the habit of doing continuously. And by the way, this would be the same thing if you want to make your business from touring, or if you want to make your business from selling records. You're still going to have to know at some point, who am I making the records for? Who are they? What songs did they like? What songs did they not like? What do they want more of? If you want to make your business from doing your Periscope, you're still going to have to check in and know who your target is. It's just slightly different. The customers change, but ultimately, in order to make a business, again, we need to make something. We need to have an offer. We need to have something we're creating that somebody else goes, I like that, I want it, I need it, here's money for it. Okay, now let me just run down. Hang on, where's my list here, my notes? I'm going to give you guys some feedback on some songs. Now, these songs, we decided to change it up last time, so we had you guys submit the songs. I'm going to give you guys some feedback. I'm just going to kind of like read through my notes. Me and Sonnet and Victoria listened to the songs between last night and this morning, and I'm going to give you guys some feedback. If you want to hear the songs, I'm going to put the links to them in the chat so that you can listen on your own time, but we're not going to do the thing where we listen in the middle of this because it's not necessary. I just want to give you guys the feedback and then move through it. And then if we have any time, I will take a few questions, but I just have to bounce at 12:30, which is my time, 12:30, because it's not even worth getting into why. Okay, so here we go. So first song, Amen, BK. The artist is Another Perspective. And here's the link. Hang on. Here's the link, and I'm going to tell you the thoughts. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, so here we go. Okay, first, don't send a link that has an advertisement you have to listen to before the song. So that's just an annoying thing. But just in general, again, it's like anything you can do to have radical empathy for people you're sending stuff to just makes it so nice, you know? So this happened to have a little ad in it because it's a SoundCloud link, which is why we prefer links that are from Box or Dropbox. It's like, this is just a simple little thing, but some people won't even listen if they feel like it's from SoundCloud because they have a feeling that it's not as easy to navigate, okay? Most music soups wouldn't wade through that ad. That's all we're saying. Okay, there's always room for hip hop. That is easy to clear. So first of all, I want you to know that, you guys. There is always room for that. It is really hard to find that. And so that could be really solving somebody's problem. To really make it stand out, a strong hook option for the editor would be a great universal lyric. So that's something to think about. And change in dynamics in general through the song. Give the placement editor some options, and in general, also make the song a little bit stronger. So it's important, again, solving problems. If you're creating hip hop, you want to think, and this would go for any track, we want to know that this song is going to land on a hook that's a universal message. Because again, the only time a song is going to be used for sync, to tell a story, is it's going to have a simple, succinct idea, right? And so when we get to that point, it's what unlocks the whole scene, you know? So if the song is called Home and it just goes back to that lyric, or if the song is called Shelter and it goes back to that hook, it goes back to that hook, it goes back to Bold, Let's Go, I don't have to think, right? I just saw a comedy show last Thursday night. It was Jack Black, Sarah Silverman, and Jeff Garlin. It was at Largo. And Jeff was really funny. For a second, he's like, let me give you a quick comedy lesson. And this is true for music too. He said, if you ask your audience to think, it's not funny. As soon as your audience has to think, it's clever, but it's not funny, right? So in comedy, he's like, just don't make them think. Just be funny. Don't try to be so clever. I don't want to think. I just want you to make me laugh, right? Because when someone goes, oh, I get it, so they're thinking, so they're not laughing. It's the same thing with music, right? So we don't want people to think. We want people to get it. There are times where you want to write a song that takes somebody on a journey and it makes them feel something and they get to explore. That's not this, okay? When it comes to sync, we want to give them, literally hand them a message. Here it is. This is what the scene's about. Did you get it? Because it's in the song in case you didn't get it from the actors. You get what I'm saying? So hand it over. Let's not make them think. Let's make sure that the hook gets right to it, and let's keep the song moving so that there's crazy different dynamics, which just makes it fun, and it helps the editor to change picture because the music changes. Okay, so again, just solving problems that way. Okay, next song is Technicolor by Ellen Hinton. Hi, Ellen. Okay, let me put this in here. Yes, we can post these on the page. Sorry, I'm not looking at the chat so much because I'm trying to get through it, but I did just see that. Okay, so it's a cool concept. I like the idea of a song called Technicolor. Percussive vibe is very cool. It just sounds a little bit like a demo. It needs the outside of the box, you know, changing up of the rhythm. The melody and the lyrics are fun. The sound that mimics the melody in the chorus doesn't add that much because it's kind of like congruent. The chorus needs to feel a little fuller, a little brighter. I like that the vocal with the cool percussive concept, it just needs to be executed with current polished sounds. So again, this is where collaboration is so important. You know, in my work, I look back at where I was before I had certain producers and where I was after. And the same song, they were just given such a breath of life. And so we want to really understand that if we're sending somebody something, again, it has to solve their problem, which means this can't be a demo. We want it to sound like just crystal clear and everything to pop. We want it to sound brilliant, like perfect, like polished, you know, like when something's out of the kiln and it's got the gloss, it's done, you know, versus like before it goes in the kiln and it's like the colors didn't actually pop right and things are kind of like muted. And if we want to make it colors matted, that's also fine, but we want it out of the kiln, not before. And so sometimes with these songs, they just sound a little bit like a demo and we're used to hearing things that are polished. I love the idea of a song called Technicolor. I think that the percussion is cool. I think that you've got, you know, vocals and melody, that the lyrics are great. I just want you to make it brighter, make it fuller. I want you to figure out how to make it sound less like a demo and more like a fully produced song. Okay, David Barber, here's a song that you sent. Okay, I just put it in the chat. So is this a demo? Again, we weren't sure if this was a demo. The fun rhythmic percussion ideas are great. I think we can play that up even more. People love percussion, hand claps, and different ways of syncopating things, whether it's shakers or just the sticks alone. When percussion is just so interesting, I find that it can be super simple. A track could even begin with just sticks, or a track can just begin with like somebody doing a cool like rhythm with their hands on their knee, on their lap, or on their, it's amazing how that stands out. I've gotten that feedback many times. Overall, the production needs a lot of just building it out, you know, making it fuller. What are your current influencers for this track? And you should know that, right? Like we should know if we have our customer, we want to know like, well, these are my influences. This is what my customer likes. If we're going to buy our spouse a present, so we want to be informed and educated. We don't just want to grasp at straws and buy them something. We want to say, well, she likes Kate Spade, she likes Coach Pocketbooks, and she loves Anthropologie. So I went to each of those and I looked at what they're selling, and then I decided to go with this, right? So what are the influences? What do they need? How can we build this track out so it feels a little bit bigger? It feels a little country in the vocals. What if you were a little less, if, you know, sometimes we want to be more quirky and a little less pretty. If you listen to my song, Gonna Make a Change, which I licensed to Special K, we actually lowered it so that I would actually talk it more than I would sing it, because singing is like really cool when Celine Dion does it, and it's really cool when Christina Aguilera does it. But in licensing world, things are usually more quirky than they are sung. We don't usually oversing things. We're not usually there to like show off our power vocals. It's more about being a personality and being more conversational and getting things across with a style than it necessarily is the sing-songiness. So if you're ever feeling like it's like got some vibrato or it's like singing, I would actually even like change the key so you're singing less and you're getting it more vibey a little more. Okay, that's just where we are, I think, for sync. Okay, here's a song by Ben Wagner called Breathe. I'm gonna put it in the chat. And okay, so we have some of your songs signed, Catch the Moon. Your voice is amazing. Speaking of voices, Ben, if you guys haven't heard his voice, you're gonna love it. The vocals really carry the whole song. It sounds like a legit recording artist. It feels authentic. It makes you want to keep listening. I think the production could be embellished to offer some more builds and dynamic changes. What would it sound like if there were some more modern sounds in the production? That's a question to ask yourself. Your voice is stunning. I mean, there's so much right about it. When it comes to the sync side, I would just think like, how can I quirk this up? How can I, I don't know where you live, but we live in LA. So like, how can I Silver Lake this up? Silver Lake is like where the hipsters hang out. Like, what's a little bit left that I could like just throw in here? So, because it's so beautiful, but here's the deal. I would say like a straight ahead Jason Mraz track, it's not as good for licensing. It might be great for a movie somewhere because it's just beautiful. It's just so, you can just keep listening to it forever. But for a Target ad, he's not as in demand because he's just freaking awesome to listen to. But it's not exactly congruent with this sort of like, I don't know, like just fun, party, silly, quirky vibe. But you already have stuff that nobody else has, like in the world. Like, I don't even think my own vocal is as good as yours. So it's amazing. I would just think about like from a production standpoint, and I feel like for you, your voice is so good and the writing is so good. I feel like it'd be worth it to switch up producers a little bit, get a different perspective in there. I don't know. I think that could be cool because there's so much talent. I mean, really, I just don't say this to every person. So it's just an amazing vocal. And I just feel like there's got to be a way for you to keep it purely you, and then just let the production do that other stuff. You don't really have to change what you're doing, because your voice is not like it's not like, oh, your voice is so good and it sounds like Ben Platt, who was the Tony Award winner from Dear Evan Hansen, so it's so good, but it doesn't belong in this world. No, it can fit in this world. It's just, we got to now use the production to make it a little less perfect, probably. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a little bit more silly, conversational, eccentric, all of that stuff, okay? But you guys need to hear Ben's voice if you haven't, because it's amazing. Okay, here's a song called Life by Henning Hansen. I'm gonna put it in here. Yeah, Sam, I just saw you reach out to him. I think that's a good idea. Sam is a great producer. Try that on for size. Okay, so first, send a link that it's direct to the exact song, because we had to scroll through to find it, and it's hard for people to wait and do that. Okay, so heavy guitar songs like this are not used that often anymore. So how can you listen to what's currently being placed again, like we talked about, and incorporate that into your writing and production? In general, mix and overall sound need to have a little more polish so that when a soup is listening, the quality is there no matter what. But again, I would ask yourself, who is my customer? What do they need? And what can I point to in a second and go, you guys, these 3 songs with these heavy guitars and this kind of vibe was used in this, and this is exactly what I'm going for, because it's super simple. Like, I know that it's like crazy and you want to make it more complicated than it is, but they wish, like I'm telling you, a lot of music supervisors, they'll be like, I wish I got to just choose weird, cool songs that I like. I don't. Like, I have to choose these same 10 patterns. Like, there's a certain thing that works and there's a certain thing that doesn't. As Shakespeare said, there's only 7 storylines. It's like, guy chases girl, this one gets their heart broken, this one backstabs, this one's jealous. That's it. There's only those stories, and then we keep rewriting them. But every single episode of Friends or 90210, it's the same story. No matter how you slice it, different characters, same story. It's the same thing in the stories that are being told through the songs, because it's the same stories. So whether you're writing for an ad or whether you're writing for a trailer or a film, they've got a story they have to tell, and they need you to help them tell it. And again, it's not like, don't ask me what I like. It's irrelevant. Ask me what I need, right? So think about what they need, and they don't just tell stories through lyrics, they tell the stories through the production. So we have to understand, and then it's not rocket science, like it's all already been done. So you can listen to the last 10 tracks by this particular brand, and you can go, okay, they like hand claps. Okay, they like whistles. Okay, Subaru, they like things that are really like kind of sad sounding and melancholy, and that, I mean, they stand out to me because I know their ads and they're always a little morose. It's a little reflective, like the Weepies would do well with Subaru. And it's unusual. That's not usually how brands go, but that's their brand, okay? So it's just about, again, knowing your customer and all of that jazz. Okay. Andrea, I'll put your song in here. Okay, so
I'm so sorry to interrupt.
No way. Okay.
Kathy?
Yes.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. It's just I don't think we're getting the links in the chat. We haven't been getting any of the songs, so just to follow along.
Oh my God. Do you know what for some reason my chat is on send to one person.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I didn't want to interrupt, but since we're doing my song, I figured I can.
I'm going to tell you now. That's so funny. Sometimes it's like set to that. So there's your song. Thanks. I'm going to put all the other songs here, and you can see in the links whose they are. And I'm glad you just told me that, because I have been copying and pasting them, but they've all been going to one person because it was set to that person. I think you know what happened? Somebody wrote me a message privately, and then it just went right back to that person. Okay, so here are all the songs. Hang on, I'm almost done. Thank you for telling me. Okay, one more. Whoops. Okay, there's that. So you should see a bunch that I just posted. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how many have I done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. So with your song, I think it's haunting and moody. It works really well for TV film concepts, really good. I think the concept of the song is great. I think you could choose to go even more in the direction of moody and haunting to really break through the noise. I feel like with that kind of sound, anything, you really want to just commit, you know, you want to make it like, if it's something that's sexy and dark, it's like, how can you turn the needle up even more on that? Like, how can you listen to a song that you would say is in a similar sort of like milieu, and how did they go even further to like really turn that up? You know, I'm thinking about like Ingrid Michaelson's song Turn to Stone, which is just like a really like epic, like it's all about how like we die, you know, like turn to stone. And so the intro of that song is a minute. Like it's literally a minute of her just like, it's ooze and vocal ease and this one arpeggio over and over, and the ooze build and the arpeggio, and it's like you know it's taking you on this journey, and it just commits. And that song was actually used 3 years in a row for a Google ad, which made $150,000 each time, and they just used the instrumental. And the Google ad was about a father and a daughter talking over the video chat. And it was about how she was getting older and time was like fading. And just the instrumental was so intense that it worked to tell that story. And it also was really personable because it just had this piano part, just the piano, and then this like vocal ooh. Think about that. Think about what you can do to turn that up even more. It's almost there with that intensity, but I think there's room to be even moodier. Then I think they needed a little bit more moody for a placement, but great job. Julie, right. I'm going to put your song now in the chat. The concept is there. Is this a demo? Production needs to be built out for the song with dynamics and more modern sounds. Vocals need a little tuning, especially just the background vocals. What are some references that you could currently say were helping bring the song into the space that it's in? Like, what do you think, you know, you were going for, and what do you think can help you make it a little bit more right there? It feels a little Indigo Girls-ish, which I love Indigo Girls. That was the first concert I ever went to. And I have all their records. Maybe not their newer ones. I think for a while I had everyone, but I often say about the Indigo Girls, where are their songs placed? Because they're so poetic. The melodies and the harmonies are amazing, but I don't think of them as great for sync. I think of them as telling such their own stories that I think that they've had an incredible touring career because their audience is living the stories they tell. And they think about their audience because they share, they know they're sharing a perspective that needs to be out there. And they talk about so many beautiful things about childhood and pain and overcoming and love, and it's amazing. But their songs are they really make me think. So I don't know if I could think of any of their songs that, unless it was like Closer to Fine, because Closer to Fine is like, I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm closer to fine. And still, that's not I don't even know exactly what that means, but I've listened to it enough times that I know now. But I would just think about really what you want to say and where you can say that where do you think that winds up getting placed? And if you know, then how can you execute a little better to solve the problems of who your customer is? Okay, I just put the next song in there, Tamara and Dean. The concept is cool lyrically and genre-wise. I think the production could be a little more modern feeling. Sounds like it's a little bit in the box. It's a little dated. I'd like to hear the hook to be just a little bit stronger, and think about, again, where does this get placed? What part of the song would they use? There are some really cool parts in there, but we need to arrive at a hook. So again, this is where we need to just like really have this dialed in, like who's our customer? What do they need? And make a decision. We're going to commit to that. That's good. We know why we're doing it. We have a strong reason why we want to, do this. And there are some great things about it. I would just think, how can I make it stronger hook-wise, and how can I make it a little more modern? Because we don't want it to sound dated, because there's just too much competition of things that sound sparkly and interesting, and we have to catch up production-wise. Like, unfortunately, it's not enough for them to hear a great song and a good lyric. They already need it to be everything else also. They need it to be done already. Next song, Starlight by Chelsea. I just put it in there. I think the intro is a little bit too long, but it could be good for film and TV. It has a definite vibe that would be supportive for a scene and a mood. For future songs, I would think about adding another section and building the song in production to like just help the scene build more. Sections and production and intensity stay the same through the song for most part. So I want to hear it change. I think that we forget that part of solving the problem for the music supervisor is solving the problem for the editor, because the song is going to carry a scene, and there's either going to be an emotional awakening for the character, or there's going to be an actual set change or a shot change. And if that's happening, the song's got to change. And if the song doesn't, they usually find a different song, because it's so hard to then edit perfectly together this song for these 3 scenes, and then that changes. So if they want to use 3 minutes of a song, or even 1.5 minutes, they'd love to feel the dynamics changing enough so that they can go, I can just use this whole song. And we've had times where they've like played the song twice because the song changed enough times. And if you listen to a lot of artists whose songs are used for sync, they think about solving those problems because it's in the song. The song moves dynamic wise, which makes it so easy for an editor to do their job. So think about solving problems, including your editor. Okay, Rhea's song. Putting this in here. So amazing job on the vocals, Rhea. Sonnet, who I think has one of the best voices I've ever heard and studied voice, said she thinks this is the best vocal she's ever heard from you. So way to find your bigger voice. It works for placement, the way you sang this. The production feels supportive of what you're doing also, and modern. We want to hear it develop more with the production as the song progresses. The sections of the song offer a lot to an editor, like I just said, but if the production is developed a little more, there'd be even more to offer. I feel like this could be great for a Disney thing, TV, movie, just in general, an empowering song. I think that was great. In fact, I'm glad that we're ending it on that one, because I just see so much growth in you, and it's so impressive to see you guys like sticking with it. And I know that Rhea recently had a license and she posted it, and I was so proud of her. She deserves it. She's been working her butt off. So it's nice to know that you guys are sticking at it. And the truth is, sometimes people say, I'm so discouraged when I don't get good feedback. And here's what I want you to know. Anything you create or do, that's not you. Okay. It's not the totality of what you are. It's like, am I my podcast episode? No. Am I this one song that I wrote that DreamWorks didn't like? No, not even close. When you really get clear and you tap into the fact that what you are is this like giant thing that like you probably in your lifetime will only even come to like explore 1% or 3% of it, you take it in stride. It's like, we all have to tolerate that some of what we create isn't our very best. And even when it is our best, if someone doesn't like it, we can handle that, because it's not everything that we are. It's not the essence of what we are. It's one little grain of sand in a big, big, giant sea of what we are, what we have to offer. And so for me, when people give me feedback, I'm just like, whatever, great, cool. And especially if it's just consistent, I'm like, oh, that's actually so helpful. You know, it's like if everyone keeps saying it's a little this, or, you know, your low notes are great, but you don't mix well. It's like, great, I get that now. I got to go to voice lessons, whatever it is. And then there are times where we get a lot of feedback and we go, cool, so this doesn't matter enough to me. And I don't think I'm in the right place. And I think the feedback actually helped me see that I want to spend my energy doing something else because this isn't working. So that's also super helpful and awesome because it saves us time and points us to where we're supposed to go. God is not mean. The world is not cruel. You will be led to where you can most serve. Every single person has something sparkly and unique and delicious. We all are different. Like every snowflake is slightly not the same. So we will be led to that. If we're willing to be humble and listen and get quiet and trust, then we'll be able to take the note and hear it and keep moving. So do you guys know what your homework assignment is? Yes? Okay, cool. Unfortunately, because of this thing I have to go do, I have to, I'll just tell you quickly what it is. My nanny's son is having kidney failure. Not sad, it sucks. So he was in the hospital with kidney issues 2 months ago, and then they thought they fixed it, but they didn't. So he is in the critical care, and my nanny wasn't able to watch my 18-month-old. So I had my sister, who has like a job and all this stuff. I was like, you have to watch the baby because I have to work. And I had a podcast this morning with the woman who wrote You Are a Badass. Do you guys know that book by Jen Sincero? And I was like, I have to do the podcast and I can't leave the students hanging. I'm not going to reschedule. But my sister needs to go to work and I need to go pick up my baby because my nanny is a human and she's having a shit day and she can't be here. So I need to go deal with that. And thank you for, this was a great class because you guys, I could tell were listening. So thank you. I saw a lot of this. And I also love just hearing those songs. And I love Ben's voice. And I love that Ray is growing. And I love that you guys are showing up. And I love that you're taking the feedback. And I love that Sam's offering to reach out. And I love that Zion's giving Ben props. I love you guys. I feel it. Like, I know you're like, well, you're talking, you know, I'm like, no, I see everything that's going on. I see it. And then I go back and I read the whole chat. So unlock those bonuses. Okay. Get this time around to send your songs in. And we're also offering another bonus. I don't know if you guys got the message, but because there's a lot in the chat. So if you guys do your homework, you unlock other bonuses, which are one-on-one calls with Sonnet and Victoria and sometimes with me. And we get to give you, because we want to do more. Most of you joined this class in June, which means the class for most of you kind of, not that it ends, but like it ends in a certain sense in June. So we want to just ramp it up a little bit right now and give you more, and we care, and I hope you can tell that we care, and I think you guys are incredible. Most people aren't even sitting here. They can't handle it. It's too threatening to even ask these questions, but I'm telling you, I know it sounds so complicated, but you're much, 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 much closer than you think. And when I see Anthony getting that check for almost $100,000 for his song that he wrote in this class, or in the six-figure songwriting class, which is essentially most of what I do, I get really happy. It makes me excited. I know that it's possible. I see it every day. And I love you guys, and I think you're really something, and I see you, and I appreciate you. And if you're, Sam just said, what happens after a year in this class? Well, this class was a class that, you know, is what it is, and we have other stuff going on, and the Access course is incredible and special, and if you want to level up and be part of that, then you can, and there's just a lot of other things going on. We're also going to have live events soon, and there's going to be more stuff, but we'll be here to keep supporting you. Victoria just messaged me. She's like, one of those bonuses is just for our Access class. Okay, well, we can talk about it. Maybe we can throw it into this class if you guys show up. But definitely we're going to send you guys those searches, and there's just so much good coming. So keep doing your thing. I want you, let me look at the calendar. It's the 19th. Why don't you send in, you have a week to complete that homework. You have till the 26th. So send that email with what you decided, who your customer is, who you need to be reaching out to. And you can send it to me, you can send it to Victoria, but if you send it to me, definitely CC Victoria or Sonnet, or send it to Victoria or Sonnet, or send it to me, but CC them. So make sure that everything gets seen faster, because I'm so busy, I wouldn't see it as fast as they would. All right, guys, have a great day. You're the best. Talk to you soon. Bye.